Good morning. My name is Amy Andrews, and it is my pleasure to be interviewing my great-aunt, Loretta Basler, for the Carroll County History Project. Today is Wednesday, August 25th, 2010, and we are at the Community Media Center in the Express Studio. So, good morning, Aunt Loretta.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, I'm just fine.
Great.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying thank you for coming, and I would like to ask you, where and when were you born in Carroll County?
Now that is a loaded question. Okay, where were you born? Well, I was born before they had any hospital in Carroll County, so I was not born in a hospital. I could have been born maybe in Hanover or in Baltimore, but my parents chose to have me born at my farm home, and that it was on Leicester's Church Road, between Leicester's Church Road and Coon Club Road. So I was born at home 71 years ago, and that day my other siblings were at home. I am the youngest of 5, so the other 4 children were downstairs while I was being born upstairs in our farm home. My doctor was Dr. Charles Billingsley, and his office was on Center Street at that time. So that's when I was born and where.
Okay. What are your favorite memories of your brothers and sisters?
Oh dear. Well, I'm the youngest, okay? So I have good memories, I have bad memories, but I love them all to death. But we were dairy farmers, okay? And so our job was milking cows. First of all, my brothers and sisters were all older than I am. My first brother, Raymond Grant, was born a long time ago. I'm not going to go into the dates. And then 10 months later, I had a sister born, Hazel Marie Bixler. Okay, well, they were married by the time I was born, because my parents must have had something called the 7-year itch, because in 7 years I had a brother named Marvin Eugene, and then I had a brother named Kenneth Richard, who happens to be your grandfather. And then it took me 7 more years, and then I was born. Memories. Nothing but really good memories stand out. We were a fun-loving family. My brothers used to, while they were milking the dairy cattle, they would squirt me with milk, and they would also put me on the handbag that you put in the top of the barn. It's like a truck. And instead of putting the bags on there, they would put their sister on there, run me through the barn, make sure the door was open, and toss me out on the haystack, which was really made of straw. So that were fun memories. And my brother Kenneth and I used to walk a long lane uphill to get on the school bus. One morning I got caught on the barbed wire fence, and he was so kind to unhook me, and off to school we went. We just went. We both love school. We all love school, and we love learning from the very beginning. So those are just a couple memories, good memories. We had lots of fun because my mom was a really good cook, and so it seemed like whenever there was mealtime, our house was full. And she never went to the grocery store. When I was a kid, we were lucky if we got to go to the grocery store 1 day a week, and that was Friday night. You went, you got a few things, you came home, no more running. It was all stay at home. And my mother could whip up a meal. I could not believe how she could. There was always 20 around our table. She was such a good cook, and she used what she had at home. And of course we had ham, and we had beef, and we had chicken eggs, and she was a great baker, baked, good cakes and pies, and always had a good, nutritious meal on the table. People loved to come, and then we had a farm pond, so after they would eat, they would love to take a dip in our farm pond. So they would come for dinner and swimming. So those are some of the things we did.
Wow. Who were your parents?
Well, my father was named Ira Levering Leister. He's the Leicesters from Leicester's Church Road. The Leister family originally gave land to build St. John's Leicester's Lutheran Church. So he was a dairy farmer, and he married Ethel Marie Dell. And she lived in Carrollton. The Dells were from Carrollton, so they weren't that far apart. And they were both dairy farmers. I'd say they're known for their honesty, their hard work. They believed in their kids, and if you got in trouble in school, you'd get in trouble when you came home, because they were a strict family. You know, they wanted us to respect our elders, and so I don't know what else to tell you about them, except they were wonderful people.
I know that you're a 1957 graduate of Westminster High School, so if you could, would you please give me some memories of your school days?
Okay. I started school for first grade. We did not have kindergarten when I was young. So I started school at the East End, now on Center Street, and my first teacher was Vesta Wareheim. I loved her to death, and after a month or two, I decided then I want to be a teacher. It was planted in my mind. Of first grade, I remember a little boy, I won't mention his name, who wanted to go to the bathroom. And Mrs. Wareheim said no. And so when we went to the cafeteria, guess what? He left a little trail. And that's a memory I have. I also remember my third grade teacher, Mrs. Schalk. She used to put us in the hospital if we missed a spelling word. In other words, there was a cutout of us, and there were hospital beds. And that was a memory. I don't know if it was fond or not so fond. I never wanted to be in that spelling hospital. And then I had Mrs. Brillhart in sixth grade. Went on to Westminster High, which is now the East Middle School. Graduated from there in 1957. While in school, my father used to say, I rode the school bus to school. And he said, I bring you home when the custodians go home, because I was on the basketball team, I was on the volleyball team, I was on girls' athletic board. I sang with the choirs, and Herb Sell was probably a beginning teacher when I began there, and I was in all of his courses, in the National Honor Society. But as I look back on it, I was elected in my 10th grade the president of the Future Teachers of America. And I always wanted to be a teacher. So those are some of my memories in high school. I guess another one, and not to brag or anything, but I was on a basketball team. And we went up to New Windsor to play a basketball game. And the score was tied, and I was at the center of the court, the center, and I shot this wild thing. It went in, and we won the game. And I tell you, that's a memory I will not forget. I've seen it on television since, of people that have done those kind of things, and it kind of sparks a memory, and I think, well, I did that one time. And Mrs. Donna Selman was my phys ed teacher, and I'll tell you another memory. We were not the richest people, but I wore a plaid skirt to school one day, and when I took gym class, you had to leave your clothes down in the downstairs. And when I came down to take my shower and put my skirt on, it was missing. Now, even back then, we had a few dishonest people because someone stole my skirt. That was a terrible memory. But my phys ed teacher, who was Mrs. Donna Selman, loaned me her skirt for the rest of the day, wore it home, brought it back the next day. So that was not a good memory, but it happens. And not half as much as it is publicized today, but maybe we think there's more of it because of such good communication. So those are just a few memories. I graduated in 1957. I was always a class officer, and I was blessed because my class voted for me. I was voted the friendliest, and I was voted for best sense of humor. And then I had to pick, well, which one do you want? You can only have one. So I chose friendliest. I'm still friendly with all those people. We have a reunion every 5 years, and we always have. Class of 1957, and we've never missed our reunion, and I'm the chairperson along with Mrs. Pat Humpert, and we organize it. But our committee gets bigger and bigger every year. And this past 50th, we graduated 50 years ago, we had 80% in attendance. And those people who were there are the ones who came from California, Florida, Colorado. The ones that weren't there live on Main Street in Westminster. So there's a message there. But we're still real close, and we have lots of fun, and we care about each other.
what was the best part about growing up in the 1940s and 50s?
The best part. Oh, golly. Well, I think people truly cared about each other. I think the music was really good. I think we were family-oriented. We had a family. We ate around the table together. We had lots of activities, too, but we always had a meal together. The music you could understand. You could dance to it. Music, let's see. Let's see. Some of our activities, I'm thinking about what we did. Well, we used to go roller skating a lot. I used to go at least roller skating up at Tonytown twice a week. And we went to games like we do now. Mm-hmm. We were very competitive with Hampstead and Manchester and Westminster. They wanted to get us because we were the biggest school. They always thought we had more. My husband happened to graduate from North Carroll, and I always liked those North Carroll boys. Anyway, he used to say they only gave one ball to North Carroll area, but Westminster had everything. Well, that's kind of funny, but it was always a standing joke. They had the athletes, though, and they were very competitive. And we still were friendly, so we'd go to each other's games, and we genuinely liked each other. What else? Let's see. 50s. Well, times were different. I think of I went to school on a school bus. I didn't walk. Went on a school bus. We had activities like drive-in movies. We went to see movies at the drive-in.
What kind of movies did you see?
Oh gosh, one that just pops up is Tammy. Let's see, I can't think of a particular movie. But I did watch the movies.
Did you ever go to the Carroll Art Center?
Oh, that was where I went to the movies once a week. Yes, it wasn't Carroll Arts Center then. Mm-hmm. It was the Carroll Theater. Yes, I did. Did
you go out to eat? Like, were there any special restaurants around Westminster that you went to?
You bet. The best part was that I always felt safe, too. We had freedom from our parents in that they trusted us, and, like, they didn't have to worry about drugs, and they didn't have to worry about alcohol. We knew how to have fun without those things. We cared about each other. We were nice to each other. And we went to the school functions, whatever it was. The Eisteddfod was a big thing. Every year we'd go to the Eisteddfod, and the schools in Carroll County would compete. You just put on your best performance. So that was something that was competitive, but still. Well, you say growing up in Carroll County. On our farm, we left the keys in our car. We left our houses unlocked. It was just safe, and we didn't worry about people breaking in. You ask about the music. Well, you still know Elvis Presley, but he was in the 50s. And how about Blue Suede Shoes and that sort of thing. We had some other singers like Frankie Avalon and Eddie Fisher and Frank Sinatra. And we also, when we went to dances, we had real orchestras. We had Glenn Miller. We had, I can't think of another one right now, but actually when we went to teen centers, which we did a lot, we went to the teen center at the American Legion here in Westminster, and Hampstead also had a teen center. We felt safe, and that was something we did. And another memory, when we were in high school, we didn't go downtown Baltimore for our proms. We decorated our gymnasium. And when we went in there, we usually were in there to shoot baskets, play volleyball. But for the week of the prom, we lowered the ceilings with crepe paper. We had this big theme, and we decorated that gymnasium from one end to the other, so that when you walked in there on prom night, you just could not believe that was where we played ball games, because we lowered the ceilings with all this paper and everything, and we'd put a carriage in there or whatever the theme might be. So those are some of the things that we did. Now, you asked me a little while ago about teenager activities. much the same as there are today. We were very active. We went to church and we went to Sunday school. We had a youth group. We went to things that were musical. We always attended sports games. We loved to go out to Balkers to eat. After a game, get in the car, everybody head for Balkers, and we would get CMPs. Do you know what CMPs are?
No.
Chocolate, marshmallow, peanut sundaes on good old Balkers ice cream. We also liked to go to 4-H. I was a 4-H'er when I was a youth, and I was in Hillsdale 4-H. Would you believe you're supposed to be 18 when you get out of 4-H? You can be in 4-H until you're 18. But I'm 71, and I'm still in 4-H. I have a 4-H club. It's named after my county, Carroll, with a T-O-N at the end, Carrollton. I'm the leader of the Carrollton 4-H Club. We have 55 members, and we meet at St. John's Lutheran Church mainly. However, if we're studying horticulture, we go to the North Carroll horticulture place so that Mr. Dick Weaver can teach us how to grow plants or whatever. So we go out into the community, but our base is at St. John's Leicester's Lutheran Church. Something I did too is I played tennis. And I played tennis on the Westminster Playground. And I just sort of started that in my junior year. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And when I went to college, one of the memories I have in college is I played tennis and I beat my tennis coach. And I felt like just this little teeny person from Carroll County going down to Towson, a big city. I used to stand along York Road for 15 minutes before I'd cross because of all the cars down there. And here I go away to college and I beat my tennis teacher. And I don't think she let me beat her. I was young, and maybe she did, but if she did, it's a memory I'll never forget. I did tell you we went roller skating a lot, too. Our parents would take us there, drop us off, and then come back and get us in a couple hours. So that's one of the things we did. Okay?
Okay. I know that you grew up on a farm, so what were your daily chores on the Leicester farm?
Okay. Well, our farm had chickens, and so I could go and gather the eggs. Our farm also had dairy cattle, so I would help with washing the cows' bags so that they could be milked. I fed them. They had little stanchions where you hold their head and they eat right in front of there. We would scoop in their food. And I think that mostly I did home things in that I helped my mom set the table. I helped her cook. I learned to cook on an old cook stove. And as I said, we always had big meals because they worked hard and they needed a lot to eat. And so I helped with that, watering the dogs and the cats and pets that we had around. Those are the things that pop up in my mind. Since I was a Leicester, I don't know, my parents always impressed upon me that you want to make us proud. And how did that, they weren't really strict, I mean, they didn't beat us or anything, but they meant business. And there weren't too many options. When they told you what to do, you did it. One time I did get in trouble though, Amy. We were watching an Oriole game. No, we weren't watching it. Yeah, we were. I was thinking maybe it was on the radio. It was on the radio. It was before television. We had television. But this day, my father was an Oriole fan. And so he was lying on the sofa listening to this Oriole game. And for this little kid, it was just too long. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I snuck in the living room and pulled the cord out, the electricity cord, and the game went off. Well, my father got so mad that he actually spanked me. And that was the only time he ever spanked me. And it's the only time he needed to, because he was so mad at me because I interrupted his game. And as I look back, that wasn't very nice. But you know what? My needs weren't being met. I had to do that. I don't know. The devil was in me or something. But that one activity still sticks with me. You know, you better listen to Dad. Let's see. some of the things you asked me chores. It wasn't a chore, but you know what I did a lot of is I taught school on our front porch. We had a front porch that went all the way across the house, and I was always out there teaching anybody I could get, whether it would be a dog, a cat, a chicken, a goose. Our neighbors were always coming over. You know, they enjoyed me teaching, and so they would come over and spend lots of time with me teaching them. And I would even teach the empty desk. That's how much I loved it. So even from childhood, I really, really liked it. And let me tell you about some of the games that we played. We had hula hoops, and so we were always swinging our hips to those hula hoops. We played checkers. We played jump rope. We would take a stick and draw a circle in the dirt and play marbles. We had a basketball hoop up against the barn, so I would love to shoot baskets all the time. We had swimming in our pond. We could go swimming with the turtles and hope that they didn't bite us. We also went swimming with our neighbors and our relatives because they would come over to go swimming. So those are some of our activities.
I know that you went to Towson University, so if you could, would you please give me some memories about college years?
Sure. I went to Towson before it was grown up like it is now. When I went, it was called Towson State Teachers College, and you went there with the purpose of becoming a teacher, and you know that was my goal. And after graduating from Westminster High, I went to Towson. I roomed there. I found that it was very difficult for me because I think I got through high school on my personality, and I didn't have very good study habits. And so when I got to college, it was a big shock. They really expected a lot out of me. So I buckled down, and I majored in elementary education, and I graduated in 4 years. And as far as other educational experiences, I didn't stop. I really am a lifelong learner. It's my philosophy that we should learn something new every day. That gives us a reason for living.
Yes.
And we don't want to become the generation gap. I don't want to be old and stop learning. I want to continue learning every day, and I want to motivate others to learn. I graduated from Towson, did my student teaching at Lyda Lee Tall, which is a school on campus, in kindergarten, and then I went to Rogers Forge, which is in the Baltimore area. I was hired by Rogers Forge before I finished my student teaching. They liked me, and they liked my work ethic that I got from my parents. When you do a job, you do the best you can. You get 100% effort, and you'll get results. And so I was hired, but I was also offered a lot more jobs in the county. I decided to stay at Rogers Forge because my supervising teacher was there, and I thought she was wonderful. I loved her value system. I loved the way she taught, and she taught first grade. I taught beside her, and I had 45 first graders my first year of teaching, and they did not have kindergarten experience. So my husband, by the way, I got married. For my senior year at Towson, I got married. And my husband was a milkman for Coons Creamery, so he went to work very early, and I did too, because in my classroom there were so many bulletin boards, and it seemed like I was always doing bulletin boards. We didn't have the modern technology that teachers have today, and that I had when I stopped teaching, but back then we made our own bulletin boards, cut out our own letters, had all these bulletin boards, and so that was part of teaching. I taught there for 5 years and loved it. But then I got pregnant and had my son and decided to stay home and raise him. So I stayed home for a few years, and then I picked up my career of teaching later after my children were here.
Oh, I know that you went to Western Maryland College too, so could you please talk about that?
Sure. When I had my children, I went back and I got my master's degree in reading with Dr. Joan Coley, who was the head of the reading department at that time. And I actually taught her reading clinics where we would gather up the children and diagnose them if they had problems in reading. And that's where I really began getting interested in how children learn. And my philosophy is anybody can learn. If I do my job as a teacher and create within them a desire to want to learn, all we have to do next is find out what is their learning style. Do they learn by what they hear? Do they learn by what they see? Do they need a multisensory approach? What do they need in order to hook that learning into linkage? And so what I did was I took everything I could, all the courses I could at Western Maryland for reading. I got my reading degree, and I went back to teaching as a diagnostic special education teacher, where I would get children where, you know, they'd heard all their life, well, you're never going to read, you can't read. I didn't believe that. Even some of the doctors, even Dr. Ben Carson operated on this one child who had a brain injury, and his prognosis is that probably Susan will never learn to read. But it was my goal when I got them that by the time they got out of 5th grade, they would be reading on a 5th grade level. And the way I did with that was I got to know them, and I found their interests. And if they loved bullfrogs, we would read about bullfrogs. If they loved car racing, because so many boys had trouble, I would learn everything I could about NASCAR and the races and everything, get all the books there. We would do reports, and they'd want to read them. And before you know it, with a lot of work, we'd set a goal. And I think that's so important, where you actually say, here's the level you're reading right now. If I'm the good teacher and I teach you the way I should, there should be 6 months growth in your reading a year. And so we mapped it, and I tied in the math with it so that they could see the progress. And I was a very successful teacher, and it just gives me such great joy. I just love my profession.
Well, that's wonderful. Do you have any favorite books that you like to read?
Oh my, I couldn't limit it to one. I read books every day. My library is full. My children read to their children. I give gifts as books. I just think there's just so much that you can learn in books. So I would hate to limit it to one. There are so many good artists. And I tell you, Western Maryland pointed that out to me because I took children's literature, and they had such good teachers there that exposed you to all that literature. And now there's just so many books, and they're so beautifully illustrated, and you know, and you can look and see if they have the Caldecott Award for illustration and story. And still, I have written a couple books.
Really?
But I haven't had them published. I have not, but I have written for a book for each of my grandchildren. And I wrote a book at Towson State when we had to for children's literature. And I still write a lot. That's one of my favorite hobbies. I write a lot of letters, and I mail a lot of letters every week because I enjoy it. I really do enjoy writing. So I've been the chairperson of my evangelism committee at church for years. So I like to keep in touch with those who are sick, write to them, send them cards, write them a little poem, just to cheer them up. So
I know that you're very involved with the Leicester's Church. So if you could you please talk about the Leister family reunion that we have every year?
Sure. Okay, I am involved with the Leicester's Church for many reasons. First of all, I went there as a child. I sang in the choir on the back row for the children's choir, and that's where I met my husband. And so we did not only prayed together, we sang together. And my husband is still in that choir today, and he has been for many years. I'm not in the choir anymore, but I've been on the church council, and I'm chairperson of evangelism, which means reaching out. So if anybody is looking at this and they need a church, you should come out to St. John's Leicester's Lutheran Church. We're in the country, where Carroll County still has a little country. We have a lovely picnic grove. We have a peach festival, which is coming this weekend, where you can come out and get Balker's ice cream with peaches, Carroll County peaches, and they have bands, and you just fellowship. It's really fun. And we also have a famous strawberry festival, along with everyday worship services. But what we have that's unique is our chapel in the woods. It is beautiful. Some people get married there. There are just benches and an altar, and we do that in the summer. We go to church. We have one service inside the church and one out in the chapel. How did I get involved there? Well, it's just something I do every Sunday. I believe in the Lord. I go to church, and my children went there. I was the director of the Vacation Bible School for 25 years and was a Sunday school teacher for many years. Now I go and worship. And you ask about the Leicester reunion. Well, since we are very family-oriented, we get together with our family. What do we do in Carroll County? Well, we go visit our families. Well, each year, the Leicester reunion, and that would be Lena and Jacob Leicesters, have a family reunion, and we have a little business meeting. We have fun, and we still do the old-timey stuff like the cake walks, and we do all kinds of silly games, and we eat watermelon, and we stand up and we introduce ourselves so that we can continually get to know our relatives. So I look forward to that. It is always the Sunday after the Strawberry Festival that the Leicesters have their reunion. So we invite all of our relatives, and we come and get together, and everybody brings potluck. We have a good meal and lots of fun. And Amy, you're our secretary.
Yes, I am. I've noticed this beautiful quilt behind you, so could you please explain what the quilt means to you?
Sure. Okay, first of all, I was a teacher in Carroll County. I started at Rogers Forge, and if you can see, my team, I was the leader of my team, which is a special education team, and I had 17 people that worked with me. And when I retired, they made this quilt as a gift, and it was a surprise. And it really tells my life. I started at Rogers Forge Elementary School in 1962, and I taught there till 67. And then I moved to Main Street. Let's see, that's over here. Main Street on Main Street in Hampstead. That's the old school. And I taught there from 1976 until 84. And then Hampstead School got a new school on Shiloh Road, and I went there in 85 to 1990. I was always the teacher in charge, and people felt that I should go into the administration area. I had that opportunity to go to central office one year where I was a diagnostic prescriptive teacher. That meant I diagnosed children from all over the state and county, but I never got to teach them. I missed teaching so much. I just wasn't happy there. Luckily, my principal, Larry J. Baer, who was at Hampstead Elementary, said, "You go try it this year because we're opening a new school, Spring Garden Elementary. And if you don't like it, you can come back to Spring Garden Elementary." So that's what I did. I went back in 1991 to 2003, and I taught my last years at Spring Garden Elementary. I just loved it. And at the end, we were going around to every grade, and I used my tools for diagnosing kids and how they learn to help the classroom teacher. But I actually went into the classroom teachers, and we taught children how to read at an early age, the early literacy. And kindergarten children were just reading up a storm by the time they got out of kindergarten. Education has really improved since you kind of set goals with children and you mark where they are, you diagnose them, and you find out their reading level when they come in from kindergarten. Because they're exposed to so many books now before kindergarten, and they go to preschool and they go to this school and they go to that school, they come in with so much knowledge. And at first I thought, oh, we should let them be children. But you know what? When they're so eager at that age, they're like little sponges and they just soak it up. I say, if they are sponges, let us give it to them. So that's what we do, and so that's how I ended up with my profession. Some of my saying, it's okay to make mistakes. I always taught kids that in my classroom. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Be a risk taker. Why? That's how you learn. And I also say, praise the children and they will learn. something I've tried to train myself to do is look at the positive. The glass is half full, not half empty. What does someone do well? Okay? You come down the stairs for breakfast. You didn't put your clothes in the hamper, but you sat down and ate your breakfast. I'm going to focus on thank you for coming down and sitting and eating your breakfast. Okay? Not tell them what they didn't do correctly. Tell them what they did. Publicize their successes. And then you have happy kids and happy parents.
Are there any special students that really inspired you?
Every student. I don't have a favorite student. I have stories of how much progress they've made, and those things stick in my head. Like one little boy came to me in 2nd grade, and he had dyslexia to the point where everything he wrote was completely backwards. And by the end of that year, with some special guidance, he was off to the right start, and we were tracking him left to right. I have lots of children who came to me in the public sector in 4th grade. They had been to private schools where there were no specialists, and they couldn't read. And so I would have to pick them up in 4th grade and diagnose them and find out why, and just take off. And you know, within 6 months or a year, I had 4th grade and 5th grade to get them caught up. And my test scores for Spring Garden Elementary, my principals always complimented me because my special education students did very well in achievement. Because if you teach them how to think, good decision making, good test strategies, I wish someone had told me that. It took me a long time to learn it. But I wasn't a gifted student. I was an average student, and I think sometimes that's good. If you're average and you know how hard it is to learn, or you need tricks to learn, then that makes you a better teacher. And to just be patient with kids and believe in them. But the key is to make them believe in themselves. And then they come running to class. I've never had anybody that didn't want to come to class. And you have fun. Learning is fun.
Yes, it is.
You had asked me once about the biggest changes in Carroll County?
Yes.
I would say mostly from my time in the 50s to now, the biggest changes, there are a lot more people and more homes. And a lot of people move to Carroll County now because they hear about our school system. There's more communication, my goodness, and the technology. But the biggest change that I thought of was the dirt roads have changed to hard roads. And we have dual lane highways. Here's a memory. When 140 was first made, my father, the farm guy, who went to town once a week, went to town one day, and he got on the highway going the wrong way because of the dual lane highway. He just got on the opposite side. No one got hurt, and we corrected it. But that was just a little memory that I had. The thing that I remember, too, is we had country stores. And for my area and my side of the county, on Manchester Road, there was a little country store called Schaefer's Store. And you could run there if you forgot something. You could get, like my father, he was a constant pipe smoker. And he would go there to get Prince Albert. And I would go there to get a piece of candy. And the thing I remember is the candy costs a penny. And over at Lippy's store in Hampstead, we would go to Hampstead, and you could go in the candy store and get a big bag of candy for 10 cents. You had 10 pieces. And you could get lots of bubble gum or pieces of chewing gum. Well, you could buy a whole Coke bottle for 5 cents, and you could buy a whole candy bar for 5 cents. That's how it has changed. Inflation has changed to Carroll County.
Did you travel a lot as a child?
Never went anywhere except Ocean City. And the reason why, Amy, is because my parents were farmers. You milk the cows 2 times a day, morning and night. You can't go anywhere. Now, I went with girlfriends, and I went, from my junior year on, I went to Ocean City every year. But when I got married, and we haven't even talked about that, when I got married to my favorite husband of almost 50 years, we had never been out of Carroll County. We got in our car, which was a red convertible, and we drove to California. We went to Disneyland all the way across the country and back for our honeymoon. Well, that just whetted our appetite. Since then, we've been across the country 3 times. We are well-traveled, and my kids often say to me, Mom and Dad, both my son and my daughter, they're on a trip right now, they said, the one thing you did was you opened our appetites to travel and what you can learn when you travel. Oh, there's just, our country's beautiful. And they just went to Yellowstone National Park together. My son and daughter met. One lives in Wisconsin. Rob graduated from North Carroll High School. I think he still holds a high record for high jumping. He's kind of an athlete, and I could be corrected on that, but I think he's got it, the record for high jumping. My daughter Beth graduated in '85 from North Carroll High School. She was Miss 4-H of Carroll County in '85. She was on the school board. There wasn't much that they didn't do. They were in the choirs, the Mr. O'Day's show choir, whatever. But both of them now say they are well-traveled because their parents, I mean, my husband worked hard, I worked hard. We played hard, we worked hard. And when vacation time came, we were in that car and away we went. So we've been pretty much everywhere in the United States. And we have been to Hawaii. Our son and daughter-in-law took us to Hawaii once they graduated from college. They were happy that we sent them to get their education. So they took us to Hawaii, and that was really nice, too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What year were you married?
In 1961.
Wow.
A long time ago.
So I was thinking maybe you could talk about your family and your grandchildren.
Okay. My grandchildren are 2 children by my daughter Beth, and these are on a tote bag because they live in New York. This is Ayla, and this is Nolan. Now, what do they do compared to what we did? Well, they run just as much as we do. They're both on swim teams. They play a little bit of basketball. They play piano. They play violin. They're gone all the time. They live in Oswego, New York. My son's boys are David. This is David Basler III, and this is Grant Basler. They are swimmers also. They're on swim teams. They're little athletes. They have taken every lesson there is. Tennis, soccer, ice hockey, basketball, you name it, they've done it. But they mostly swim a lot. They all are good swimmers. They're really unique little individuals, and I love them all. They're all different. But you know what's the best part? When you become a grandmother and you watch your children parent, it is such a neat feeling. And to see the little grandchildren, they're all very different, very unique. And this is what has happened to our family. This is us at Myrtle Beach, which is a favorite place. We like to go there 1 week a year to go together and stay together. My husband and I are leaving for Madison, Wisconsin next week because that's where our son lives. And then when we come home, we're going to be home for a while, mow the lawn, do those kind of things. And then we're going up to Oswego to be with our daughter for a couple weeks. So we still see them and we talk to them. So grandchildren are great. They all have their little unique personalities. I'm proud of the way my children turned out. I have taught them to be independent and to fly, and they've done that. They have good careers. They're happy, and I believe you should give back to your community, and they are both doing that.
So what kind of activities do you do now in Carroll County?
Oh, my. Well, I tell you, I spend a lot of time with 4-H, okay? Mm-hmm. We've just completed the Carroll County 4-H Fair. I'm happy to have a Carroll County pin. And Dave, my husband, and I are superintendents of booths and banners. And so we have each of the clubs enter their booths and banners. We get the judges from the University of Maryland. and we display those for the week. We're out there volunteers every day. And as a matter of fact, when we finish here today, we're going to the Maryland State Fair. Our car is full of entries from my 4-H'ers that we're going to take down to the fair. So that we do a lot with 4-H. We do a lot with our church. We're volunteers. I think we're champion volunteers. My husband mows lawns for everybody and keeps them in, having their property look good. And me, I'm just retired. I can sit now and watch the squirrels run around. I never did that. I was always reading manuals and planning lessons for my students, but now I can be a little bit more relaxed and enjoy life. We like the wine festival. We like, let's see, what else do we do here? We love to go to Balkers.
Me too.
And we love to eat crabs at Parks Landing.
Oh, me too.
And so those are just a few of the things. We just like the people in Carroll County because it's home to us. They're friendly. And I am a firm believer that you get what you give. And if you're nice and do nice things, you'll run into a couple mean people, but generally people are nice.
I know there's a special joke that your brother, Uncle Marvin, once said. So if you want to say that, you can.
Okay, it might be cut. My brother Marvin, well, he's a jokester. I'm the only one left from my family. This has been a really tough year for me. I lost my brother. I lost my sister, and so I'm the only living sibling, so it's been tough. But my brother Marvin, one time he grew a pumpkin out in his backyard. He didn't even know he had planted it, and he stumbled over it, okay? So he thought, oh, I'll take this to Carroll County Farm Museum. Well, it was voted the largest pumpkin in Carroll County, and so he was interviewed. Mr. Leister, what's your favorite pumpkin? And he said, what is your favorite pumpkin pie? And he said, I only like 2 kinds, hot and cold. So that was one of his things. Another one of his sayings, I'll tell you. He told me when I was a young girl, when I went out, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Don't be perfect, but know the fine line of how far you can go. He used to say, he said, there was a time when the people in Carroll County and Americans would go to the bathroom outside and eat their meals inside. He says, we flip-flop. Now we go to the bathroom in the house and we eat out. So that's his sense of humor.
Are there any other special memories that you would like to share about your family? I can't think of anything. Let me see. About my family. Well, they mean the world to me. Yeah. That's for sure. And I've tried to impress them that there are just a few things that we should do. And one of them is to be very caring and kind to each other, to save our planet and take good care of it. It's the only one we'll get. And I guess as far as my family, if my family does that and people see them doing recycling, whatever, that, that's contagious, and you hope that we make this world a better world. You asked, too, about my legacy. I think my legacy is that I have taught lots of children, and I have made their day better, because there wasn't a student I ever had that I didn't say something positive to each day. I knew that they came to school with lots of baggage. Some of them had broken homes. Maybe they didn't have anything to eat. They had problems, and so it was my legacy, I felt, to say something that was true but positive to them, so that they would hear something good about themselves and improve their self-concept. I also believe that if you give people a reason to feel good about themselves, they in turn will do good, and so it's like a cycle. And I would like to share a poem that I hope will be my legacy. Someone gave me this in a pillow, and it says, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the type of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove.
But the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child.
That's wonderful.
And that's how I've tried to live. And that's my motto, make my best better. And that's the 4-H motto, to make your best better. And I have tried to teach kids in Carroll County to do better at public speaking, to give demonstrations, to continually learn, because learning is a lifelong skill. You're much more interesting if you're still learning.
Yes. Oh, what was your favorite decade that you grew up in? What was your favorite decade?
Gosh, that's difficult. Favorite decade. Well, the 50s was good, but so was the 60s. The 60s were good because I was getting a college education and getting married. I can have a reason for every decade. The 70s, I was having my children. Mm-hmm. And the 80s, my children were getting married. And the 90s, I'm having grandchildren. And life is what you make it. If you look at the positive, you'll see the positive. You know, if people are judge not, or ye shall be judged, too many people in our world today get up in the morning and start judging. You find what you look for. If you look for positive things, you'll find them. And that's what we should be doing.
Wow, thank you very much. Are there any other final thoughts that you would like to say?
I think I've said enough. Thank you.
I would like to thank you very much. Thank you, Aunt Loretta.
You're very welcome. I'm proud to be your relative.
I'm proud that you're my great aunt.
Thank you.